One of the main things that have happened with the human consciousness is this divide from the body, this casting off, casting out anything that is not according to a certain thing. So, meaning there's a big history of just cutting out the spiritual, the metaphysical, well, it wasn't really metaphysical at that time. It was witchcraft and things like that. And so there is a natural evolution of why things are the way they are. But it doesn't really matter what has happened, other than recognizing, hang on a second, we're doing exactly the same now as we did back then, in reality, pretending that we're not. That's the main objective with many beings, even beings in the spiritual field can be in this. Can. You may not be one of them, you know? But we are giving you the broader perspective. We are sharing with you the perspective of the soul. Because that's the whole point here. The point here is not that we come in as blank slates and just learn whatever the heck anyone wants, and then we just do that for the rest of our lives. That's not the point. That's not the point of living. What's the point of that? There is a consciousness coming through a human being when it is conceived. There is a flash of light that you can see around the egg when actually consciousness sort of grabs onto it. That's something that can be measured, and there are live footages that can be watched seeing this, and that is consciousness encompassing and starting to work with its matter, its claimed matter. You claimed your body. You made your parents come together, actually, the broader part of you. But it's still part of you. This God stream is still part of you. But it doesn't matter what God stream is flowing through here if the filtering mechanism within the human being is off kilter, because then there is no harmony. And so you can seem normal, and beings can be very intellectual, and there's nothing wrong with anything, we have to say, but we are looking at the imbalances of things. And one of the main imbalances is this divide between the masculine and the feminine, and they're receiving different sort of conditioning by the society of what you should be behaving like, and what you should look like, and how you should behave, and what things you should say, and how you should say it, and all of that stuff. And most beings are still swimming in that energetically in the body, thinking something different. A lot of beings are there. Luckily, we almost want to say, of the events that has occurred on the planet, that doesn't make sense. Like if you're connected to the body, certain things just don't make sense. And so it's important, because it's important to recognize. And that is you honoring the feeler. This is one of the most, like, I salute beings that are truly in service to not just Gaia, but Gaia and humanity. There needs to be both. Because if you're only focused on bringing in higher knowledge and only focusing on that is the most important, it almost seems like it's out there, right? If you're overly focused on that, the spiritual, the metaphysical, reaching this play, this thing, this time, reaching, or perhaps you have found this here, it's just when you align with your body, it could be through meditation, but it matters what you do in your waking life. Not just let's do the meditation and then get in Zen and then you go off and you do what you normally always do. There is a way of that space that you're just used to running your life. There is a particular way that you can operate your body where you're seeing energetic truth. There is a reprogramming that is needed for this, so that you can have the foundation to properly have a good foundation of what your intuition is, and properly put the pieces together so that you can make sense of your spiritual abilities. Because it is really about making sense of them, so that you can further develop them. But for that, you have to acknowledge where you're at, in truth. And if you are like many that are perhaps certain moments pretending, just recognize that. The first thing is just to see it and recognize it, what the behavior is. Yeah, I do that thing. I notice it again. You know? It's so, it's the only thing that truly works. It's the only way that you truly get momentum, is to see the energetic truth. It is correcting so much within the body, because the body, this system has heard so much misinformation about what things mean, that people are sometimes going around with like multiple voices in their heads, thinking that it's supposed to be normal. It's not normal to have that many voices in your head. That just means you have too much going on, too many beings speaking to you, too much input. Perhaps you're surviving, yeah, for sure. But you're not going to make sense of this thought patterns if it's too much noise. The true recognition that you are spiritually advanced is not how much you know and you can download of like Pleiadians and God knows what things out there, but that you can do it, use your energy to have your energy coming through your body. Because there's a lot of people that can just plays out energy, that just feels something and just act it out. That doesn't make it holy, that doesn't make it not holy, but there are better ways to handle those situations instead of just acting it out. Because acting it out, and what do we mean by acting it out? When you're just playing out energies and you just, I felt this and then I did it without questioning or even filtering. Sometimes it's a good idea to do, especially in the clarification process of your human energy. This is why it's so important to go through a clarification process. And a lot of spiritual modalities have this. It's natural because it has been misused as well to unlearn the dualistic perspective, and then you relearn some doctrine that also has a twist of control in it. And of course, that's not the point of this. The point is that now you can do this rebirth yourself. You don't have to go to some guru that passes this on to you and blesses you with the holy water, and then maybe you go to heaven. That's not needed anymore. But there is an upgrade that's needed in the psychology to be able to comprehend, well, okay then, but my life is not looking like that. So how do I bridge the gap between my dualistic life over here with my job and my husband and my wife and my, spiritual practice and managing it all, versus actually living, having all of that work in harmony, in service to that higher connection that you have to God, really. But it's not religious. This is what's so important to get out of people's minds. Oh, are you Oh, you're following Jesus. Oh, are you Christian? That's like the automatic assumption if people hear Jesus. There are so many links and automatic links that people associate with things. That does not mean that in energetic truth. It's just a name. That doesn't mean religious Christianity. It doesn't mean that. It can mean that. It has very often meant that in our experience. So we have lots of history, so we can sympathize with all of that. But this rebalancing of the calibration of what is what, that doesn't mean that. We have been trained that means that, but it doesn't mean that. Unless you say that it is that, then you have decided that it means that. But that's a perception. That's something you place on top when you have decided that you know what something is. What this world needs the most is to calm and correct the mind. And that is done by coming into the body. But the point is not to stay in meditation and bliss land forever either. But it is better to stay in bliss land than go in worry land, let's say. So absolutely, it's better to develop a meditation practice, meditate 12 hours a day to anchor your light. That is a wonderful practice to do physically. That is deep, deep work to use your focus in that way. That's what Vipassana meditation will do for you. It will actually, it is deep, energetic corrections that you are invoking automatically with your light. And that is what we are inviting you to do here as well. To start to look at how you're seeing things. What are you seeing? There is a reprogramming needed on what's what. This is what the Course in Miracles, the 365 lessons, 365? Is that what it was? I hope so. That's what we said. All of these lessons, the yearly lessons at the very least. That is what those are. They are a retraining of how to utilize the mind so that it is focused on miracle-based thinking. That is what that does. It's not to put your hand in the sand and not look at reality. It's about comprehending really deeply what reality truly is. Because reality is not, if we have superimposed something on a situation or a thing or whatever, we think we know it. And what is that? That is based that we're using our past. Behaves like this, behaves like that, behaves like that. Ergo, that equals this. That ego equals not worthy. Too much ums and buts. Okay, you're not connected enough. You know, like whatever the judgment is. It can be judgment on channelers as well. There's so much going on energetically that when you are connected, you can feel. And of course, it's a blessing to the beings that are connected, because we know, thank you, that was a blessing. Thank you Gaia. Thank you for guiding that being to show me that, I see what's going on over there. Right? This is what you get when you honor the feminine. You get this other world that you need to make sense of. A lot of relationships, even when they have projected, the masculine is projecting his feminine onto the power onto the woman, and vice versa, right? In certain situations, in different situations. And even that is such a tricky thing, because you can't get it like that, projecting. You can't get a relationship to truly work like that in the long run. You can get it to work like that in the short run, in a couple of years, yeah, for sure. But then eventually, unless there is growth in consciousness, unless the soul is growing, if it's only about safety and stability, something's going to be off. It's a complete balance of many different things that is required to get something to work in a romantic relationship. But at the core of it is the self-regulating of your own energy. That you can truly listen to your body and actually not just have pain in your body and not doing anything, let's say. Because if you have pain in your body, that's your body speaking to you. Your body speaks to you in pains and aches and good feelings. That's pretty much it. And lots of nuances in between of what that view, like thought patterns and feelings based on that. It's a different language that most beings have not learned properly. And that is this language of feeling. Some are very good at it, sort of unconsciously. They've just learned to trust it, but it can be not conscious. And so what is needed is actually more pauses, more awareness to inject what is needed, which is, let's inject calm, because we want calmness to be reflected from our system. And so we are in this world where everything seems to be about adhering to people to please them. But that's not making the individual happy. It's always a combination. But listening to this first, because if you are connected to your body, you're also connected to the rest of the planet. Think about that. When you have learned to connect properly, not everyone is working like that. Some have a very thin stream of energy just to keep the juices flowing, and then leaking out energy everywhere and getting energy from other people. That is the dualistic perspective. You can call it social, you can call it whatever, but that is the nature of this dualistic perspective. That doesn't mean you can't be social and it be a healthy thing. It's just that there are usually different categories for that, and it's usually a different connection point, because you are connecting through the body. Gaia, both recognize there is something Gaia wants to make happen here. What is it? And then it becomes more inquisitive of what the energy is and wants to express as, instead of these thought patterns of what things should be or shouldn't be. We don't know why we're meeting someone always. Even if you're feeling feelings that are linked to certain things, we don't always know. If we are constantly using the past to bring that forward and superimpose that on every single person we meet. That's not the point. Then you are controlling reality. You're controlling reality if you do that. And most beings do it unconscious. They just do it. It just happens so instantaneously because everyone else is doing it. So it's just like a slot in, like, yes, unless you do something consciously different, you're just going to slot right in here. You know? It is the safety mechanism. That's the ego. That is the safety mechanism that you have a choice though. You don't have to adhere to it if you don't agree with it. That is always your choice. And we are here to share with you that there is another way to do this human experience. There is another way. But it does require the remedy. And for many knowers, especially nowadays with Instagram, instant gratification, it is quite challenging to stay centered and watch something and truly stay because there is something deeper being transmitted, that if you started leaving what is being chatted, sort of just let that just let that just be, and just start to focus elsewhere while it's going on. Even if it is, just start to focus on your body. Sometimes it is that simple as the start, because that is the remedy for many. And once you have gotten the hang of this, like maybe let's say that you have a good meditation practice, then the next level up is that you take that meditation practice and you start to increase that more throughout your day. But that means, because when you're meditating, you are aligning to your soul. And when you're going out in life again, you are usually, unless you are practicing, focused, practicing focused alertness and correcting your own behavior. That is something that we had to train. It wasn't natural for us in the beginning. We were completely automatic. We were like, fuck, I did it again. I did that thing again that I shouldn't do. And we just went along with it. It took us like a couple of years to we just went in this loop and how do I get out of this loop? And it's like using a muscle that you didn't even know you had. That's sort of how it felt like to us. It was like, oh, I can just change things. And when it sort of clicked, it was like freedom. So much freedom. I can just inject what I want here. I don't have to go along with everyone else type of thing. Right? And that's this automatic too. Even with the mirrored effect, that's also a ping pong. Someone is attacking, then I'm attacking back, and all of that stuff. That's the automatic still. So it takes, depending on where you're at, it can take some time to readjust completely in harmony. But it's so worth it. And you can read on your environment where you're at in frequency. This is something that we teach in the Ascension program. So if you're interested in going deeper and to aligning with this holistic perspective, that is what we're offering you if you want to dive deeper. There's a link in the bio. We hope that you are having a wonderful Christmas and that you have found your way to celebrate yourself. I want to dedicate this time to celebrate your own body, your own feeler. Celebrate that. Don't fall for all of the habitual of grabbing all of this food and eating so much food that your body, that your body will regret the next day. In moderation. Enjoy. Of course, enjoy. But you don't have to stuff yourself. Listen to your body. Listen to what your body wants and do that. Even if it's different from what you're normally used to. Do something different to honor you. What is it that you can do in this Christmas time that is honoring you? To truly bring everything together. Because when you honor you and you bring that into the mix. Truly, authentically. That is when you're shining your light. Sometimes it looks like that. Being the one that says something that needs to be talked about. Perhaps there is a good time for all of the things that have been avoided to bring it up and talk about it. Not for the sake of it, but for the sake of getting resolution. That's usually what tends to happen, because if you gather, this is not for everyone, this section here, but if you gather with families, it is for many though. If you gather with family and you are finally coming together, usually it's those things that come up that haven't been looked at yet. Because in order for you to truly have that camaraderie and that nice family feeling, those things that needs to be spoken is very good to have spoken first. So take a round around the table that everyone shares authentically and from their heart. And listen, everyone to everyone, before you eat. That's a wonderful practice to do. We love you. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you again in the next one. Wishing you a happy Christmas to the ones that are celebrating that, or whatever other festivities you may be doing today. We celebrate you. And we invite you to celebrate you too. We love you. Take care.